Have you ever wondered what it would be like if Einstein, Steve Jobs, and your child's brain had a party? Welcome to the Neuroquirky Nexus, where we celebrate the extraordinary minds of our neurodiverse children. Welcome to you amazing parents and caregivers to this podcast. Here we are going to navigate the colorful world of neurodiversity, and we're going to explore holistic, out-of-the-box solutions for children and teens with ADHD, stress, anxiety, and other neuroquirks. Each week we'll dive into practical, brain-based techniques and quirky strategies to help your child thrive. I'm Lori Bloyer, a former veteran teacher turned holistic neurogrowth, learning, and life success coach. As a parent of a neurodiverse child myself, I've spent the last 20 years researching, experimenting, and developing unconventional approaches to support these unique minds. I myself have ADHD diagnosed later in life, and thank goodness, now I understand some of my neuroquirks, and I am going to give you, from my years of teaching in the classroom, my son and myself, several tips, tricks, strategies to help you and your child thrive and create peace at home and joy in your life. So, are you ready? Let's get quirky. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Neuroquirky Nexus, where we unpack the big questions, small wins, and everyday realities of raising our amazing neurodivergent kids. And we're doing that in a world that's still learning how to support them. I'm your host, Lori Bloyer, and today we're diving into something that's a little bit different, but it's been stirring a lot of anxiety for parents and for educators lately. So I want to talk about, are my child's IEP and 504 accommodations in danger? With recent proposed changes from the Department of Education under the Trump administration and potential shifts in how educational supports are handled federally, many of us are wondering what happens next. Will my child be protected? And yes, I know this is a very US-centric episode today, so I apologize for my international listeners, but it's definitely on the minds of us in the US. So let's break this down together in a way that makes sense without the legal jargon, because as you know, this is not legal advice and I am not a lawyer, but I have researched this so that I could come and talk to you guys about it today. So let's go ahead and talk about this, but most importantly, let's talk about what you can actually do to stay proactive and empowered, because it's a little bit uncertain these times right now. So, are you ready? Let's get quirky. What's going on? You might have seen headlines or heard whispers, executive orders, regulatory rollbacks, changes to the Office for Civil Rights, and talk of shifting special education oversight away from the Department of Education entirely, right? Have you seen that? Have you read about it? Have you heard it on the news? Probably you have. It's been in a lot of the news lately, and that's why I wanted to talk about it today. But here's what we know. The IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act are still the law. But there are signs that federal oversight is weakening. Offices that enforce these protections, like the Office for Civil Rights, are being closed and dramatically understaffed. You've heard that for sure. In March of 2025, so as I'm recording this, it is end of April 2025. So if you're listening to this several years from now, this is what was happening in the past. But this is in our world right now. So if you're listening right now, it's definitely relevant. But in March of 2025, you guys might have heard that over half of the OCR's regional offices were closed. The remaining offices are very short-staffed and they're overwhelmed, making it harder for complaints to be investigated in a timely manner. There's been talk of shifting special education oversight to Health and Human Services, HHS, a massive structural change that could dilute accountability and shift focus away from education-specific outcomes. On top of that, recent executive actions and memoranda label diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, efforts as discriminatory, which has implications for how disability supports are framed and funded. So the bottom line, these shifts could impact how quickly, fairly, and effectively students receive the supports they need. And without strong oversight, implementation suffers, even if the law technically remains in place. So that's a lot, I know, that's a lot to take in. But let's just quick refresher. I'm sure a lot of you guys know this if your child has an IEP or a 504, but for those of you that don't know and are new to this world, let's just break down the differences real quick. So an IEP is a plan under IDEA. It's for students who need specialized instruction and includes measurable goals, personalized services, and specific supports. It stands for Individualized Education Plan. So IEPs. The 504 is about equal access. It's for students who don't need special instruction, but do need classroom accommodations like extended test time or sensory breaks. IEPs are often more robust, but require eligibility through formal assessment. And 504 plans, though, they're more flexible, but also more vulnerable to inconsistent enforcement, especially in under-resourced schools. Both of them protect your child's right to learn, but they rely on enforcement by agencies that are currently being impacted by budget cuts and policy shifts. And of course, by your teacher in the classroom. That's a whole other topic, right? That we talked about several episodes ago, working with your teacher to enforce those in the classroom. But we're talking on another level here. So are these accommodations in immediate danger? Not immediately, but here's the nuance. Laws like IDEA and Section 504 are federally protected and still in effect. They can't just be wiped away by one administration. But the departments and people who uphold those laws are being stretched so thin, and in some cases, systematically dismantled. A memo from April 2025 called for the repeal of all unlawful regulations and asked for public input on deregulation across departments, including education. And according to a review by Attitude Magazine and other education watchdog groups, this move aligns with broader efforts to reduce federal oversight in education, potentially deprioritizing disability accommodations. And that is a source from the Attitude webinar that they had on April 23rd, 2025, so very recent. This puts special education at risk of being deprioritized. Already, adult students at the post-secondary level are experiencing delays and denials in accommodations. And we know what happens at the college level often trickles down to K-12. The erosion can be quiet, not a loud repeal, but a slow fade. Less funding, fewer people to respond, more burden on families. That's the pattern I'm hoping you see here. So what can you do? Of course, that's what we really want to know. And you know I like to give you strategies. What can we do? This isn't about panic. It's about power. And here's how you get it. Stay informed. Subscribe to updates from sources like Attitude Magazine, Rights Law, and COPA, the Council for Parenting Attorneys and Advocates. Knowledge equals protection. And I will drop those links down in the show notes if you want to stay updated. That's where I got a lot of my information. Document everything. Keep a folder of every email, meeting note, progress report, and missed service. If it's not documented, it's hard to advocate. And strengthen relationships. The best advocacy starts with strong school partnerships. Go listen to my episode on that. for sure. And I also have a little ebook if you'd like that. I can put that in the show notes as well. But strengthen those relationships. Build trust with your child's teachers and team. Stay collaborative when you can and firm when you must. And learn your rights. You don't need to be a legal expert, but basic understanding of your rights can make a world of difference. So start with these key concepts. FAPE, F-A-P-E, free, appropriate, public education. This means your child has the right to an education that is tailored to their individual needs at no cost to you. LRE, least restrictive environment. Always good to know these acronyms, right? We're filled with acronyms in education. So this means your child should be educated with their non-disabled peers as much as possible and only placed in separate settings when necessary. The least restrictive environment. Due process rights. If you disagree with the school on services or placement, you have the right to mediation, hearings, and legal action. It's important to know how to file a complaint and when to call for a formal review. And there are people that can help you with that if you need to. And I'd be happy to put you in touch with people if that's the case. And then procedural safeguards. These are the legal protections built into IDEA that ensure your child's rights and yours as a parent are upheld. This includes the right to participate in meetings, receive written notice before changes, and access your child's records. Understanding these basics gives you confidence at IEP meetings and helps you recognize when something doesn't feel right. If your gut says something is off, your knowledge can guide your next step, whether that's asking questions, requesting a reevaluation, or getting support from an advocate or attorney. And those advocates in your area, definitely what I would suggest, looking up if you really do feel like you need some extra support. Okay, I hope this is helping. You don't need to be a legal expert, but knowing the basics of FAPE, free, appropriate, public education, and LRE, least restrictive environment, due process rights, and procedural safeguards will help you advocate smarter. Also, speak up locally. Contact school boards, PTA meetings, and district leadership. State-level decisions will matter more if federal protections fade. Find allies, join and start a parent group. Really, if you guys are really motivated by this, absolutely, right? Find those allies and work together to speak up locally wherever you are. And you network with advocates. Consider finding a special education attorney if you're really hitting walls. And use your voice. Reach out to elected officials. Ask where they stand on special education, advocate for funding, staffing, and protections that benefit all students. So the more we speak up, the more we speak out, the less will be taken advantage of or swept under the carpet. Okay, so final thoughts. You are not alone. I know this feels overwhelming, but here's the truth. Most of us become advocates by choice. We do it out of love. And love, well, love is powerful, right? We love our children and we need to speak up to help them. You are your child's best advocate. You don't have to know every law or win every fight, but when you show up, ask questions, and say, this matters, you change the game. Together we can hold the system accountable. Together we can keep equity and access at the center of every educational decision. If this episode gave you clarity, would you share it with another parent who needs it? Let's spread awareness, not fear. And if you want ongoing tools, join my email list or private parent group. I'll help you stay calm, current, confident as you advocate for your child in many ways. Until next time, keep believing in your child and keep using your voice. This time is especially important as so many changes are happening. I'll try to keep you updated as best I can, but at least I wanted to make you aware, as a lot of parents are nervous about this issue right now. So I hope it helped. I know I'm not a lawyer, but I am trying my best to also stay up with all of this. So if you have any comments, feedback, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Key Nexus. We are so glad you took the time to join us today. I know time is precious, and we are so glad you're here. I hope you got a lot out of this episode. Please don't forget to post your activity using hashtag NeuroNexus. That's NeuroNexus. And of course, all links are in the show notes. And I just really hope you enjoyed it. So if you did, please like and subscribe and share this with a friend. I think this is really good for families that are new to their child being diagnosed with ADHD. And I believe that the tips and tricks and resources I'll be sharing will be very helpful for all families, but especially new families. And finally, I am creating a workshop coming up to help families with ADHD finding and using a holistic, natural approach in support of a book chapter that I'm writing and articles and magazines that are coming out. But my workshop, I'm so excited about because I can work with you all one-on-one. If you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you again. And remember, let's keep it quirky. See you next time.